All right, we're going early tonight, a little bit early, 10:50 start time tonight, because I wanted to talk to Akeem Glaspie here, and it had a wild finish, absolutely wild. LC wins, Lawrence Central wins over LN. Um, Controversial finish, Akeem, I would say. Santana Allen fumbled into the end zone. Albert Gooden III is there to scoop it up for the game-winning touchdown. And LC wins 26-24. Absolute pandemonium on the field at LN. And, two teams that traditionally seem to play each other twice every year. And this time LC wins it. And man, what a game. I'll let you kind of take the floor here, but, just kind of the second week in a row, there's just been some wild kind of controversy. This wasn't as wild as the Eastbrook game, but nonetheless, pretty crazy finish, Akeem.
Yeah, so I guess to just backtrack slightly, so LC led 13-3 with 3:19 left in the third quarter, and then like 40 seconds later, Zay Moore goes 84 yards for a touchdown. So then LC was leading 13-10, and then like one or two plays later, Jaden Lasendi pick six from off a Santana Allen pass. So now LN is leading 17-13 with 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the third quarter. So, like I said, LC went from leading 13-10 with 3:19 left to trailing 17-13 at the end of the third quarter. And then, just a back and forth game. Santana Allen hit Dalen Lewis to retake the lead. And then Zay Moore went 26 yards to give LN the lead with 4 minutes and 10 seconds left, setting up the final drive. And just Santana Allen was clutch that last drive. 2 fourth down conversions, one to Dalen Lewis, 22 yards on like 4th and 10, which was impressive. And then another completion to Albert Gooden on 4th and 2. They get down to the LN2, and that's kind of when they call it the immaculate fumble, maybe. That's when that happened. So, just a crazy game.
Immaculate probably depends on which side of the fumble you're on in this case. But yeah, so fourth down, Akeem, how much time was left on that last? I guess it didn't really matter, but was that how much time was left on the clock there?
Yeah, 2 seconess left on that fourth down play. Yeah.
Wow. So that was it. That was it. Just overall from a gameplay standpoint, Akeem, how did Manchin Sales got hurt? I know you said, I was texting with you earlier. Did he come back, or was that it for him?
No, Sales leaves in the first half. So yeah, he had a couple catches, but you want your big time players, and he almost had a bigger impact on defense, kind of playing like that outside linebacker, like slot corner position, kind of breaking on balls and just showing his athletic ability. He had a couple catches on offense, but just you hate to see a big time player like that leave the game. It seemed like a lower body injury. He came off limping once, I believe, in the first quarter, walked it off, but then he went down again, and then he was kind of limping a little bit more. So I guess he had to shut it down. But that was disappointing to see. And actually, Santana Allen left in around the third quarter as well. And so his backup had to come in, and they had to move to more of a running offense. And then, so that was just kind of adding another layer to it, is that he was making all those plays with like a hurt hand on his throwing hand. And it's just like talking to Al Gooden after the game, did you see just like saying Santana's a winner? Like he's a gamer. He'll do whatever it takes to win. And that's obviously very endearing to his teammates. So that was just a gutsy performance by Santana Allen.
Yeah, I imagine, Akeem, too, traditionally LN has been, here in recent years anyway, kind of been on the opposite side. They've been winning these games against LC, including last year and earlier this year, obviously, but especially in tournament play. Just what was the mood like from the LC side after this game? What did I'm sure that Will Patterson and that group had to be pretty excited about this.
Yeah, so it's kind of maybe serendipitous is the word, because the earlier game between LN and LC, you're right, it was LN with a walk-off on that end zone that LC scored its winning touchdown on. So yeah, just kind of a irony. I don't know the exact word, but yeah. So LC gets a little bit of payback there. But yeah, Coach Patterson said, they prepare for these moments. I mean, I guess the coach has to say that. I don't know how much you can prepare for that, but yeah, it's like we practice these moments, late game situation, and just again, he's like Santana's a gamer. He's a winner. There's no one else we want to have with the ball in his hands at that time. And talking to Santana, he's just kind of a cool customer. Just seems very unfazed, very just kind of composed in the moment. And it definitely didn't seem like the moment was too big for him. Because again, I mean, that the final play wasn't the biggest play of the game. They needed 2 fourth down conversions to even get into that position. So just a great performance by LC. I mean, you lose one quarterback and Terry Walker, who's a really talented prospect, and then you get replace him with the Santana Allen. That's just a good fortune to have for that program, and just a winner that they have.
And pretty cool. The ball ends up in the hands of Albert Gooden III, who's been through a lot of tough. They haven't had a ton of success. They haven't been bad, but just haven't had a ton of success. They've kind of been building, and then have kind of not been able to get quite over the hump. So kind of a cool moment for him to end up with the ball at the end of the game here to win it. But so next week, Decatur Central will go to Lawrence Central. I think everybody was kind of maybe thinking it could be Decatur and LN in the next round. Instead, it will be LC, and they get to host that game too. So that will be interesting. Decatur Central won tonight 42-21 over North Central. So that will be the matchup next week at LC. Akeem, Xavion Moore, how did LC do kind of slowing him down tonight?
Yeah, they didn't do great slowing him down. Like I said, he had an 84-yard touchdown and a 26-yard touchdown run, and just he's might be one of my favorite player that I've seen this entire season. Just every time he gets the ball, he's going to make a defender miss, and with a spin or a juke, and then the speed. Again, talking to Coach Patterson, he's like, if we wanted to win the game, we had to get number 3 on the ground, and he scored twice, so LN did everything they could, especially with once Moshan went out the game. So it was kind of all on Zay Moore to kind of pull out the win. And I mean, they gave it a valiant effort. He showed that he's definitely one of the best running backs. Coach Patterson called him the best running back in the entire Midwest. So not just the state, but in the entire region. So definitely a lot of respect for Moore on the opposite side, and he showed why he's one of the best players around.
Coach Patterson's been watching some tape of Michigan and Kentucky and Ohio and some other states. No, I agree though. He is electric. He's one of the best running backs I have ever covered. I mean, he's like an Xbox controller in his hand when he's got the ball, man. He's tough. That's a wild one, man. That's those late game fumbles and the questions on where the ball was and that sort of thing certainly come up, but yeah, it didn't look like he fumbled on purpose. Watching another angle of it looked like he just kind of got hit and it slipped out, and and then Gooden was there to pop on top of it. So wild win, 26-24. Again, LC wins. They will advance and play Decatur Central next week in the sectional championship game. So Akeem, thanks for popping on here early, man.
Yep, no problem. Anytime. And, hold on. I guess I have to congratulate you, our new fearless leader of the IndyStar High School Sports. So Kyle's going to play it cool. I know Kyle doesn't like to talk about himself too much, but definitely a long time coming. I call Kyle the godfather of Indiana high school sports. So congratulations on your new position, Kyle.
No, I guess this is the point where I have to say what a great boss Matt was, or he'll get. I'm just kidding. He was certainly learned a lot from him, and I will continue to call him like I did the other day about stuff. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to working with you more, and or continue to, and as well as the rest of the guys. So, but yeah, we'll get through this together. November anyway, so it's going to be wild as it always is, but yeah, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Well, congrats, and yep, see you around, Kyle.
All right, thanks, Akeem. All right, Akeem Glaspie had the Lawrence Central Lawrence North game tonight, 26-24. as he said, kind of a wild finish in that one, as we saw there with, also someone mentioned here, Kale mentioned McLaughlin broke the rushing record tonight, the state rushing record held by Charlie Spiegel tonight in Knox, and hopefully we're going to have some special guest on to talk about that. But we'll see what happens there with that. But yeah, good note there. Kale was going to mention that also, that Miles McLaughlin became the state's all-time leading rusher tonight, breaking a record, honestly, that when Charlie broke that record, and it was almost 3,000 yards more than any rusher in the history of high school football. It was Sammy Mireless from Elwood, and I covered him as well, or I at least did a story about him when he broke the record. And Spiegel said it's so far above that, I didn't think anybody would ever tell you. It was like a mountain to climb that you'd never get to. But McLaughlin did it. Obviously, he gets the ball a lot, and every opponent knows that, and he still is able to rush for, I think he's over, or he'll be right around 11,000 yards for his career now. So pretty incredible. Congrats to him on that. I don't know what the final numbers were on him tonight. Hopefully we can find that out as we move along here. But yeah, again, congrats, Miles McLaughlin, the new Indiana high school rushing king. He's also the season leader, which that actually happened last week. He broke the record held by Markel Jones from Columbus East, over 3,500 yards on the season this year. So, but again, yeah, congrats to him. My game tonight, I had Cascade and Tri-West. And let me go through some of the scores here from tonight as well. I had Tri-West and Cascade. Cascade won that game pretty handily, as it turned out, in Class 3A Sectional 25. Tri-West just unable to slow them down. Cascade ends up with 511 rushing yards, and it ends up 45-14 in a game that was closer for most of the night, but felt like Cascade was the better team really in the first half, and then definitely as the game wore on, just Tri-West was not able to stop that rushing attack. So Cascade wins it 45-14. Guerin Catholic will go to Cascade next week, and judging by the size of the crowd on the Cascade side tonight, that will be a huge crowd in Hendricks County on the Cascade side next week. They are geared up to win a sectional title for the first time in since 1992, if they can do that. And I'm going to bring on. I see Greg has popped in here. There he is. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Kyle. I had a game that finished in a fashion which would not be legal in the National Football League, and one that I have never seen in 30 years of doing high school football tonight.
Well, I've seen the replays. I had Akeem Glaspie came on. He was out there tonight for us, and we talked about it a little bit. But yeah, so from your perspective, I guess the ball was fumbled at about the 1 by Santana Allen, bounces into the end zone, and the man on the spot, I thought it was pretty cool. It's Albert Gooden, who he's been through a lot of these games in the past, and been on the losing end of some of these, but he's the guy who pops on it, and LC wins.
Correct. And so again, the National Football League, and I think it's a certain time window, like last 2 minutes, last 5 minutes of a game. You have to be the person that fumbled the ball to advance the fumble. You can recover it, but it goes back to the spot of the fumble. That same rule does not exist. And one of the phrases that Lance and I use a lot on our television broadcast is that the Friday rules and the Saturday rules and the Sunday rules are often different. And that is one of them. But Kyle, it's on this Halloween, it's borderline freaky. Same end zone, same field. Zay Moore scored with 2 seconds left to go to give LN the win 34-27 in week number 1. Same end zone, same field, 2.6 seconds left to go in this one when the ball was snapped, when Allen fumbles the ball and recovered by Al Gooden. And again, when we do a television broadcast, we've got 4 cameras. We've got 3 up top and we've got 1 roving camera. Eric Kinnett is always our sideline camera, and he's phenomenal. His background, he is from Shelbyville, did television news and sports in Joplin, Missouri for a long time. And, you know, we're kind of his itch, so to speak, in terms of wanting to be involved in sports a couple of days a week opposite his actual real job. But he's great about being in the right position. And you could see that literally as Santana is stretching the ball out, trying to reach the goal line, Breck Mallory knocks the ball free behind the play where my press box angle is. It almost looked like he kind of pitched the ball forward, almost like an intentional fumble or even a pass. But then as I went and watched the replay, clearly he's diving for the end zone. Ball is knocked out, and literally one hop, and amazingly, like nobody was around like 5 yards other than Albert Gooden III, and falls on the football literally as time expires. And wisely, there was no need for an extra point try or a kick snap or anything like that. Game ended at that point. And I think about, for the LN kids, the way their season has ended the last 2 years between the Brownsburg regional game and now losing to LC in this fashion in the sectional final, or sectional semifinal. Amazing win for LC, devastating loss for Lawrence North.
Absolutely. I was on the sideline, actually walking the LN sideline that night at Brownsburg, and that was about the most heartbreaking finish to be on a sideline, because those guys believed they were going to win state, and I did too. I mean, I really did think they were the team that was going to do it. They lost that heartbreaker and now lose this way. This team not as not overall as talented, depth, both sides of the ball. But I think a team that people were scared of, if they would have, they would have been scary to play for anybody because of that offensive talent. But just, and I think this kind of, we saw the LC Carmel score last week, and that raised some people's eyebrows, I think. And then, they go out and win tonight. I'm not putting it past LC to win next week against Decatur.
Correct. And obviously, and I'm sure you've seen the Decatur Central North Central game, you're going to question, all right, might there be some players from Decatur Central missing, because of what happened in tonight's game? And you're absolutely right. 2 weeks ago, as we're kind of hearing scores come in, and you're like, wait a minute, Lawrence Central led Carmel for most of that game. And in talking with Will Patterson, I was like, we just ran the ball with Albert Gooden. Now, again, Albert, I want to say 26 carries, 89 yards, somewhere in that vicinity is what I had him during the course of the game. It was a mixture of Allen and Albert, and then let's also acknowledge the fact that Santana Allen exited the game for the part of a drive because he got tackled, and he's a left-handed quarterback. Whether he had to have a thumb taped up to go back in the game, and so Errol Kearns, that is listed as the backup, but is one of their leading tacklers at 74 tackles on the season. He has to come in and kind of runs the Wildcat quarterback, and he ended up running for 38 yards during the time that he was in the game as the QB for LC. So, tonight's game wasn't just a reminder of how crazy finishes can be or what rivalry games are like. It is a reminder of the war of attrition that top flight 6A football is in this state, because Allen misses part of the game. LC's top recruit, the lineman that's going to Purdue, he's out with a broken leg in this game, and Lawrence Central ends up winning. Monshin Sales gets hurt in the second quarter, does not return, and now his junior season comes to an end. And so, it was just a game that had a little bit of everything, but the overriding thing that I will remember is just seemingly the physical toll that this game took, Kyle, on both sides, and obviously for LN, the emotional toll it took at the end of the game.
Yeah, two seasons where you just absolutely crushed at the end, for sure. I got to wonder too. I know Albert Gooden, his grandfather, kind of, sometimes I'll sit by him at games, and he's worried about his grandson's free throws. I wonder if they work on. I wonder if they work on fumble recoveries too. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe just free throws. But he was the man on the spot tonight.
Are we stunned the coach's kid knew exactly where to be at the right place at the right time?
Exactly.
That skill translates even in different sports. Absolutely.
Yeah. Greg, anything else you saw tonight that kind of stood out to you? I know there was, we kind of are on the fly when we're covering games and
sure
trying to digest things, but was there any game? I had the Cascade game, and they were super impressive in person. Very, I thought were kind of just on top of everything tonight. But anything else that you saw out there from games you were not at?
No, I would say this. I thought we were going to learn the most about brackets in 3A more than anything else because Memorial Gibson Southern. Obviously Miles McLaughlin becomes the all-time leading rusher in the state of Indiana, but most importantly for the big picture of the team, Griffith's a pretty good team, and Knox thumped them in that game tonight. And so while, Memorial and Gibson Southern have been really good, Cascade's been phenomenal all year. Really only has played one game that has been relatively competitive, and that was Danville in week number 2. And that was a 14-point win for Cascade. You cited it's been 33 years since Cascade won a sectional. Guerin Catholic will be their foe next week. But I think we could be, whether it's the Southern Semi-State or the state championship that could feature Knox versus Memorial, Gibson Southern / Cascade. That was kind of the group that I thought maybe there was a little bit of answers revealed in the bracket, I guess is what I would say, because in a lot of the classifications, really going to learn more next week in terms of sectional final, regional final, etc.
Yeah, and we saw, and I thought this might happen. Ben Davis really pushed Avon tonight. I thought that was interesting and not shocking, but Avon definitely got tested. They had to get through that tough game tonight. But yeah, I think honestly, after watching Cascade, I feel like they are, they're going to be a factor, and I think they'll be favored to win next week against Guerin Catholic, but the way they can run the ball and the pace they play with, it's and they're all seniors. It seems like they're most of them. So not all of them. They do have some younger guys who will be with them these next couple of years. But man, that team is really, really good, and they're going to be a handful. If anybody beats them, it's going to take a pretty good effort. And
just to do the comparison shopping, because it's unique how this played out, I referenced the Danville game in week number 2. The week before, Danville went to Gibson Southern. Gibson Southern beat Danville at home 34-27. The next week, Cascade beat Danville 41-27. So again, you at least have that bit of comparison there between the two best teams from the southwest corner and the best team from central Indiana, seemingly on a pretty level playing field as far as 3A is concerned.
Yeah, that's a good point. I noticed that earlier in the year. That's something that kind of stuck out too. It's like, well, you can, even though Cascade is beating teams by a lot, they did have that Danville game. You can kind of compare to what Gibson Southern has done. They played them the last 2 years, and Danville's played them close both times. So, but yeah, that will be interesting. 3A is just pretty interesting how it all is going to play out here. And man, I mean, I gotta say, New Pal, I figured they would beat Plainfield, but man, oh man, that team, that New Pal Cathedral game it's gonna be interesting. But how good is New Pal? I mean,
tremendously good. You expect them to win their way to 6A, just like you kind of expect Chittard to win their way to 4A or 5A, I should say. Not this year, but obviously in terms of future years. And again, New Pal literally will have the toughest path they could possibly have. Mm-hmm. It sets up where they will play a ranked team every step of the way. But frankly, Kyle, I expect them to win 4 more games against ranked competition to claim a 5A championship.
Yeah, and I was out at practice Monday. Just I'm listening to Kyle Ralph after practice and talking about how, hey, we're going to see the adversity. It's going to be different. It's going to be harder. And I believed him, and I think he believed it. And and they go out tonight and they just take care of business. But that's obviously a very veteran team that, I think we knew going in this was going to be a pretty tough team to beat, but definitely they are proving that along the way. But Greg, I don't want to take up too much of your time here. I appreciate you coming on and joining us, and had another great one to talk about tonight. So appreciate you doing it.
Anytime, Kyle. Now, especially since you're the high school editor of the Indianapolis Star. If you were just the reporter, I might have said no, but as the editor, absolutely. We'll talk again soon.
It just carries more weight, I say. So no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I appreciate you doing it, man.
See you, buddy.
All right. Greg Rakestraw, thanks for coming on here again and joining me. He had the LC Lawrence North game. And again, that was a wild one. 26-24, LC wins it. And like I said, they'll play Decatur Central next week in a game that I think will have a lot of intrigue. And Greg mentioned the Decatur game. There was a scuffle during that game. And I did see a little bit of video of that. And actually the game stopped for a minute. I don't know how long it was, but North Central came back out. They finished the game. It was 42-21. Decatur won that game. So Decatur and LC will play in the sectional championship next week at LC. And I wanted to pass along, as we get into it here a little bit, wanted to pass along some other scores from our area. Westfield beat, so this sectional 3, Westfield beat Zionsville 48-20. And Carmel beat Harrison 56-7. So next week it will be Westfield at Carmel for that sectional 3 championship. I think we kind of expected it to happen that way, and it will. And that will be a fantastic game again. I covered that game earlier this year. Carmel won 34-10. I would expect that'll be a much closer game this time around. Westfield's been playing pretty well, and normally that's the case for the Shamrocks as they get deeper into the season. Hamilton Southeastern, so sectional 4 then. HSC had another pretty tough game with Homestead, kind of like last year. Pretty tough game. It was 24-10. HSC beat Homestead. And then in the other game, Fishers 41, Noblesville 13. So we'll have Mudsock Part 2 in sectional 4. That game will be at Fishers, and I'm trying to remember if that game was – I think it was at Fishers this year. All the Mudsock games kind of run together on me. But the HSC will play at Fishers for the sectional 4 championship next week. That one will be fun. Fishers won the first time around 28-16 and had a pretty good lead in that game and held on to win. Sectional 5, I mentioned Avon beat Ben Davis 23-21, and Brownsburg pulled away. They got a big lead on Pike early. Pike kind of battled back, and then Brownsburg pulled away. It was 43-14. Brownsburg beats Pike, and now it'll be Avon at Brownsburg. And that game, again, another crazy game the first time they met. Brownsburg won 55-47. That was at Avon. This one will be at home for the Bulldogs. I covered sectional 6 a minute ago. Sectional 7, Southport beats Tech 22-7. And Warren Central beats Perry Meridian 42-7. So next week it'll be Southport at Warren Central in sectional 7. In sectional 8, Center Grove, no problem with Jeffersonville 48-0. And Franklin Central beats Columbus North 42-35. That was a wild one throughout the night. So that'll be Center Grove at Franklin Central next week for the sectional 8 championship. It seems like we have that game pretty much every year. The Flashes have to try to get through Center Grove, and that will again be the case this year. And getting some more emails coming in on some of the scores here tonight. But sectional 13, class 5A, I mentioned Cathedral beats Anderson 68-0, and New Pal 42-7 over Plainfield. That game was 42-0 I believe in the second quarter. So next week, Cathedral at New Pal. That will be one of the biggest games of the week for sure. Will be an awesome crowd and atmosphere, I'm sure, next Friday at New Pal. Sectional 14 in 5A, East Central beat Franklin 21-7, and Whiteland beat Columbus East 42-21. So it'll be East Central at Whiteland in 5A. Franklin was able to hang in that game with East Central, so that could I think that'll be a pretty even matchup, East Central and Whiteland. Sectional 20 in 4A, it'll be Lebanon and Logansport. Lebanon will have to go to Logansport. Logansport beat Muncie Central 31-24. Lebanon rolled over Frankfurt 48-6. In sectional 21 in 4A, Yorktown 35-0 over Beech Grove. I thought that game might be closer. And then Pendleton Heights beat Greenfield Central 45-0. So next week it'll be Yorktown at Pendleton Heights. That'll be a heck of a game as well. In sectional 22, Roncalli beats Danville 49-16. And Chittard, that game was played later because of Chittard playing in the soccer championship tonight. Chittard beats Brebeuf 63-33. And so Roncalli will play Chittard next week. That, again, a great matchup in the sectional 22 championship. Bedford North Lawrence beats Shelbyville 41-21. And then Martinsville beat Charlestown 52-20. So Martinsville will host B&L next week. That'll be a rematch of a game played earlier this year that B&L won that time around. I mentioned Cascade over Tri-West 45-14. Guerin Catholic beats Crawfordsville 45-7. So Guerin will go to Cascade next week. And then in sectional 31, Indian Creek 46-7 over Madison. Scottsburg beat North Harrison 27-0. So Scottsburg will play at Indian Creek next week in that sectional championship. And also in 2A, sectional 34, Southmont beats Western Boone 33-11. So Southmont advances. In sectional 37. Super wild game. Heritage Christian beat Monrovia 57-56. And then Lutheran beat Park Tudor 52-14. So Lutheran will be at Heritage Christian next week. And that will be another game. Lutheran beat Heritage Christian pretty handily during the season. Sectional 38, Triton Central beat Northeastern 49-6. And LaPel again beats Eastern Hancock 26-22. Another close game. That game was close a couple weeks ago and was again as LaPel wins it and advances. Cloverdale beats Tinley. This is Class 1A, Sectional 46, 61-6. And they will play Sheridan next week. Sheridan beat Clinton Prairie 42-12. So Sheridan will host Cloverdale next week in that championship game in Sectional 46. So that's pretty much the run of the Central Indiana games and scores and matchups for next week. Mentioned that Knox ended up beating Griffith 50-35. So a wild game tonight up at Knox. We'll find out exactly what Miles McLaughlin ended up with, but he did break the all-time career rushing record for Indiana tonight in that game. Gibson Southern, by the way, beats Evansville Memorial. That was a matchup of 1 versus 2 in Class 3A. Gibson Southern 28, Evansville Memorial 21. So that was a good one tonight down in the Evansville area, in a game that people kind of had their eye on for sure in that one. Looking at some other scores, North Judson, they lost 2 tonight. So North Judson, which made the state finals last year, is out, lost to LaVille 24-22. And just look and see if there's anything else of note. Floyd Central beat Castle 49-14. Good win. That Providence beat Springs Valley. That was a matchup, the other 1 versus 2 matchup. Providence, defending state champs, beats number 1 Springs Valley in 1A 35-14. So another game of interest, I think, from a statewide perspective, just because those teams ranked very highly in 1A. And yeah, so there's obviously you can find more at IndyStar.com. We've got all the results, all the matchups for next week are up. And yeah, again, my game tonight was 45-14. Cascade wins it. And, obviously a really emotional night for Cascade. They lost a close game last year to Tri-West in the same round by a score of 37-35. So kind of a chance to get redemption against a Tri-West team that had knocked them out last year. A lot of seniors back for this Cascade team that wanted to avenge that game, and they were able to do it tonight. A huge rushing night. Like I said, Dayton Mink had 190 yards, but really they were able to kind of do what they wanted against that Tri-West defense, at least on the ground, and were able to combat Jack Sorgi, who really good quarterback, man. He puts some balls in some tight windows. He can really sling it, and but when you're a little bit one-dimensional like Tri-West was, Cascade knew what was coming a little bit, picked him off a couple times, and had another one that bounced up in the air that they intercepted as well. So they turned those into scoring opportunities. So just really impressive win, and Cascade moves on tonight in the game that I covered. But appreciate everybody joining us here, and obviously we'll have much more throughout the weekend. Stay plugged in. We'll have more at IndyStar.com and elsewhere throughout the weekend and into next week. It's a fun time of year. Great night, Halloween night, but a great night for high school football again. It's a little chillier out, but it's perfect for this time of year. You couldn't ask for a better year of weather. Knock on wood. Hopefully that continues into next week in the sectional championship games. And we have some more great games to follow. So, again, thanks for coming on here. And like I said, we'll have plenty more at IndyStar.com throughout the weekend. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, Halloween weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.